Hey, what's up, guys? I'm not sure what happened, so you'll probably see a video that has the same title. Um, it doesn't want to load the video, and it was a really good video, so I'm going to do it all over again. I want to talk about the pros and cons about the Switch 2, in my opinion. Keep in mind, I pre-ordered it, I paid it off. I am getting the Switch 2. I care more about the Switch 1 game's performance, upgrades, fidelity, than I do about Switch 2 games. I have Cyberpunk on the Xbox, and I think one of the downfalls that is different about this Nintendo system is it's no longer only Nintendo games. Elden Ring, Borderlands 4, and Cyberpunk are all on different systems. So, what I believe is people are going to compare the games and see the performance and then say, well, if the PS5 Pro's performance is way better than the Switch 2, then Nintendo's going to lose customers. I also believe people aren't going to buy games at $80 when they first are released. I believe they're going to wait for sales or wait for it to be used in the market. And when you buy games used, Nintendo doesn't get any profit from it, and the developers don't get any profit from it. The developers are going to see that they didn't get the money they thought they would get, and then they're going to only do all digital, and then physical will eventually be phased out. Now, one thing I don't understand about the Switch 2 is, are the Switch 1 games eShop integrated with Switch 2, and you just re-download your Switch 1 games onto the Switch 2, and then if you re-download the Switch 1 games onto the Switch 2, that's space that you don't have for Switch 2 games. And then you have to think about the game key cards. Not only are you paying $50 and up for the game alone, that's not even fully on the cartridge, but you're also paying for the storage individually for each game key card. So you're paying for storage for the Switch 2 when you're already going to have storage on the Switch 1 on the Switch 2. A 1 terabyte Express SD card is $180. A regular SD card, 2 terabyte, is $200. Which one do you think's a good deal? The Express SD cards just make the Switch 2 more expensive than it needed to be. The 4K made the Switch 2 more expensive than it needed to be. The 120 frame rates per second made the Switch 2 more than it needed to be. I would have rather 60 frame rates per second and 1080p. I would be happy with that. And then it would cost Nintendo even less to produce. Who knows? Maybe the Switch 2 Lite or whatever they want to call the version that doesn't connect to the TV, if they even, decide to make that, right? Maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll downgrade the 120 frame rates per second to 60. And I think that's a good idea because I don't even think the developers are going to utilize the 120 frame rates per second. People are not going to buy these games at $80 and then not expect it to be worth $80. I don't mind paying $80 for a game if it's actually worth it. But I'm not going to have the company that made the game tell me what they think it's worth. The customers are supposed to do that. The customers are supposed to buy something and then see what it was worth and then tell other people about it and be like, yeah, this game is worth $80. People are just going to wait for the system to go on sale or the games to go on sale or not buy it at all. Then you have other people that never had a Switch before and the compatibility issues on the Switch 2. They may just buy a Switch just to play the Switch games that don't work on the Switch 2. Congratulations, Nintendo. You're getting money from new customers that never had a Switch before and might buy the Switch 1 and the terrible performance it has from 30 frame rates per second to 25 frame rates per second. That's why I said I would have rather 60. There's no reason why your Switch OLED that was so expensive couldn't have been an upgrade in hardware. It wasn't. It was just a better screen, right? A little more internal storage than the other one. But when you dock it, it doesn't matter what screen it has. And funny enough, my Switch OLED doesn't dock anymore. I don't know what's wrong with it. It charges with no problem, but it doesn't dock anymore. And I know it's not the dock or the charger because my other Switch docks. So my Switch OLED just doesn't dock anymore. So now I have to use the Switch OLED as handheld only. And then the railing is broken. So the Joy-Con isn't even registered on the right side. It's only registered on the left. And then I have to use the Joy-Con holder. Sorry, I couldn't think of what it was called. I don't understand these game key cards. Not only are you paying for the price of the game that's not fully on it, but you're also paying for the storage individually game key cards. These game key cards are big. Do you understand that? The whole reason why the game isn't on the cartridge fully is because of how big the game size is. Split Fiction alone is 73 gigs. So 3 Split Fictions is the whole internal storage of a Switch 2. Not only are you messing over the old customers, but you're messing over the new customers because they probably don't have an expansion pass if they never bought the Switch to begin with. So then they have to pay a yearly subscription fee to have Game Boy Advance, N64, and GameCube, right? That was on my Wii U. I had N64, Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, DS. Nintendo, you're just lazy. You could easily put the DS on the Switch. And the other thing I want to tell you, I do not think every Switch is getting GameCube. I only think the Switch 2 is getting GameCube. For some reason, AI Overview is saying that every Switch is getting GameCube. I would love to be wrong. That would be great because that would only benefit me. I have the expansion pass. But I believe Switch 2 is the only one getting the GameCube. I don't think that the Switch 1 is even capable of playing this GameCube emulator that's on the Switch 2. I would love to be wrong, you know? I don't know. But I just want to let you know, you're going to see the title of the other video. It was a really good video, but I had to start all over again because of some internet connection problem or something. And then it said error, resume play. So I just scrapped it, basically, and I made this video. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye. God bless.